Tutorial number 15. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your 9-step grayscale using photographic textures. So you want to find several photographs that ultimately are grayscale. If you find a good color one, you can change it to grayscale by going Image Mode Grayscale. But you want to find images that have a range of different kinds of textures that when mixed together create multiple different values. So this photograph would be a good example, and you could get several different textures, but don't expect to get all the textures in one image. You also want to make sure that your photograph is high resolution enough. So to do that, you want to go to Image, Image Size, and you want to look at the resolution, unclick Resample Image so that it's unchecked, and change the resolution to 300 pixels per inch. Now this image is definitely big enough because at 300 pixels per inch, it's 10 by 13. So that means when I want to draw a 1-inch square to fill a texture, it'll be big enough. If your image is too low resolution, it won't be high quality enough when you print it out. So be sure that your image is big enough to get a 1-inch square texture at 300 pixels per inch. Okay, so and then the next thing you're going to do is make a new file, File, New, and it's going to be your texture grayscale, and it's going to be 9 inches wide by 1 inch high, and it's going to be 300 pixels per inch grayscale. Okay, and then you're going to go View, Show Grid, and you're going to make sure that your grid, going to Photoshop Preferences, Guides, Grid, and Slices, there's a grid line every 1 inch. Okay, and then you're going to go back to your image and you're going to start saving some textures. So to do that, you're going to click on the marquee tool, rectangular marquee tool, and you're going to go to Style, Fix Size, and type in 1 inch by 1 inch up here at the top in the menu. And then you're going to go and find an appropriate selection. So let's start down here in this area. That looks like a good optical mixture and a good texture for one of my values. So you're going to click your marquee tool to select 1 inch, and then you're going to go Edit, Define Pattern. And you can call this pattern 1, or if you think you know that it might be, let's say, 30% value, I would recommend calling it that. And just take a guess and see if you're right once you get them all together. So you can click OK, and you can continue to do that with all the different textures that you see. So for example, that might be a good dark one, that might be a good sort of maybe 70% value. And then once you have some textures, you're going to start to put them into your grayscale. So you're going to go to your grayscale, you're going to make a new layer, and you can label it if you want or not. You can always label it later. And then you are going to click again on one of the squares in your grayscale, and you're going to click on the paint bucket tool, which is under the gradient tool. And then you're going to go up to the pattern menu. And if it says foreground pattern, I think it defaults to foreground, so you're going to go down to pattern. And then you're going to click here, and you're going to find the pattern that you chose. And you want to make sure it's easier, at least if it's in a list view. So if it's not in a list view, you can click over here and you can go to small list, and then it'll show you your name as well, so you can recognize it easier. So I'll click on 30%, and then with the paint bucket tool, I'm just going to fill one area of my grayscale with a percentage. And then from that point, I can deselect, select, deselect, and then if you want, because it's on a new layer, you can move it around. And then you're going to put each value on a new layer. New layer, okay, and then you'll continue, if you haven't already, finding patterns saving them and putting them in so you have a full grayscale that shows all different kinds of textures.